Good afternoon. It is always a pleasure to be in Munich and to attend the Security Conference. I have just attended a meeting with the Global Coalition to defeat ISIS, and we discussed NATO's plans to enhance our presence in Iraq to help the Iraqis fight ISIS and make sure that ISIS never return. I will also, and we will of course, the NATO mission and presence in Iraq will be conducted in close consultation with the Iraqi government. We fully respect Iraq's territorial integrity and sovereignty. I will also meet many other leaders during my stay here in Munich, including the foreign ministers of China and Russia, and also President Zelensky and many others. Later on today I will meet with President Ghani, and we will discuss the efforts to find a peaceful, negotiated solution to the conflict in Afghanistan. NATO currently has around 16,000 troops in Afghanistan, and we are ready to adjust that force level if Taliban is able to demonstrate real will and real ability to reduce violence, and we see a path to peace. The best way NATO can support the peace efforts is to continue to support the Afghan army and security forces, so Taliban understands that they will never win on the battlefield. They have to sit down and negotiate. So I'm looking forward to be here, and Iraq, Afghanistan and many other issues highlights the importance of North America and Europe standing together. When we stand together, we are safe and secure.
What do you think about the Westless theme of this conference?
Well, we have been discussing the West for decades. It's not a new issue. As long as this conference has existed, the future of the West has been on the agenda, and the debate and discussions are always welcome. At the same time, I think we have to understand that it's not new that people question the strength of the transatlantic bond, the strength of the West. But the reality is that when we look back to the Suez crisis in 1956, all the way to the disagreement we saw between NATO allies on the Iraq war in 2003, or the disagreements we see today on trade and climate change and or the Iran nuclear deal, the lesson we have learned and what we have seen every time is that we have been able to overcome these differences and to unite around our core task as NATO, and that is to protect and defend each other. And that's actually what we do today. Because despite the questions that are being asked, and despite the differences we see on serious issues as climate change or trade, NATO allies, North America and Europe, we do more together now than we have done for many, many years. More US presence in Europe, and European allies are stepping up. So yes, I welcome discussion about the West, but the most important thing is that we actually are able to act, and NATO is acting. We are delivering security for 1 billion people every day.
Secretary, if you could make a small step this way, please, if that's possible. Yeah. How does NATO need to change and adopt to respond to the rise of China globally?
NATO leaders, when they met in London in December, we stated that we have to address the rise of China. We have to better understand the rise of China. There are opportunities, but also challenges. And therefore, I welcome the fact that this was so clearly stated by NATO leaders. I think there are a wide range of issues where it is also important that we have dialogue between NATO and China, and I will meet the Chinese foreign minister later on today. Middle East, Afghanistan, arms control, these are examples of issues where I welcome. I think there is a need for a closer dialogue, NATO and China. Well, the Black Sea is of strategic importance for NATO, and NATO has presence in the Black Sea. We have allies like Bulgaria, Romania, and of course Turkey, and we have partners like Ukraine and Georgia. And we have increased our presence in the Black Sea region with more air policing, with presence on sea and at sea and on land. And we also, of course, work closely with Ukraine to address the security challenges they face because Russia has illegally annexed Crimea. So Georgia is a close partner. We work closely with Georgia. We support them. We support them on their efforts to implement reform. But we also welcome the fact that Georgia provides support to NATO in many different ways.
What NATO wants to support Peshmerga in north of Iraq? What's exactly your plan for Iraq? I want to know exactly.
NATO is already present in Iraq with a training mission. We strongly believe that to train local forces is one of the best weapons we have against terrorism, Daesh, because to enable local forces, enable local governments to stabilize their own country is extremely important, and that's exactly what we do in Iraq. We have now decided to enhance our presence in Iraq with more training, with more capacity building, and we are consulting closely with the global coalition. All NATO allies and NATO are member of the global coalition, and of course we will consult closely with the coalition, but also with the government of Iraq. Some NATO allies are also present in the north, in the Kurdish parts of Iraq. NATO as an alliance is not present there, but NATO allies provide support and training. We will now decide exactly how to scale up the NATO presence, and maybe we'll also take over some of the activities, some of the training activities that NATO allies provide within the coalition today.
Lawrence Norman, Wall Street Journal. President Trump said the other day you were his greatest fan. So would another 5 years of Donald Trump be good for the NATO alliance?
Well, I have a good working relationship with him, and for me it is important to have a good working relationship with all leaders in NATO countries. And the fact is that, of course, we are an alliance of 29 different nations with different history, different geography, different political parties in government, but despite these differences, we are actually able to do more together in North America and Europe than we have done for many, many years. We see a strong commitment of the United States to European security with more US troops, but we also see European allies are stepping up. So yes, there are differences between NATO allies, but yes, we are actually, despite those differences, able to strengthen the transatlantic partnership within NATO. And I know that the United States, there is a strong bipartisan support to NATO, and I welcome that.
Secretary General, what do you think about organized in world can be partners of NATO?
Which countries can be partners? Yeah. Also, NATO has many partners, and we have many partners, and we appreciate the partnership with partners all over the world, from New Zealand and Australia to neighbors as Finland, Sweden, Ukraine, and Georgia, and many other countries. So partnership is part of the way NATO works. We support them, but they also support us. Many partners contribute to NATO missions and operations, for instance, in Afghanistan or Iraq.
Thank you very much, colleagues.
Thank you.